My wife got pregnant and didn't tell me. She still clung to me every day, pestering me to sleep with her. My instincts told me something was wrong. After I hired people to investigate, I finally discovered the truth. The wife who was inseparable from me every day, publicly flaunting our love, was actually using my money to keep a lover on the side. Whips, collars, confinement roleplay. They were playing it wild. Even so, she could still say without blushing or missing a beat, "If one day I betray you, then let me fall into a prison without love." I laughed. What kind of punishment is having no love? Since you love confinement play so much, then I'll grant your wish. Chapter 1. Mr. Wong, are you certain you want to sue your wife? She'll get at least 30 years. I was silent for a moment, then said firmly, "Sue." The voice on the other end sounded surprised, but quickly replied, "You'll need to send me the litigation materials. In about half a month, the lawyer's letter will be delivered to your wife." After I hung up, my secretary came in, holding a gift box respectfully with both hands. "Mr. Wong, this is a gift from Madam." I froze for a second, took the delicate box, and opened it. Inside was an expensive fountain pen. Engraved on it in neat, elegant handwriting were the words, "To my beloved Mr. Wong, happy 5th wedding anniversary." The secretary carefully left the office and shared it in the company group chat. As soon as everyone saw the exquisite pen, the group came alive, message after message popping up. "Madam and the CEO are really so loving. Even her gifts are so thoughtful. Remember how the CEO loves crab roe pastry? Madam chartered a plane to Shanghai just to buy the Michelin 5-star restaurant's version and send it to him. When the CEO caught a virus and had a fever, Madam dragged the ambulance staff, insisting on entering the isolation ward together, saying she'd die with him if she had to. A match made in heaven like this, such enviable love is rare in this world. Even this pen was specially customized by Madam. There's only this one in the entire world. Ah, when will I ever have such perfect love? Comparing lives is really infuriating. Every message was filled with envy. The entire company, and all my friends, had told me more times than I could count how much they envied my relationship with Willow. I curled my lips into a mocking smile and lowered my head to look at the documents in front of me. Among them was a photo of a top-tier watch I had transferred overseas, now worn on another man's wrist. I was born into wealth not long after graduating. I already owned a publicly listed company. I never lacked admirers, but my rapidly growing career and my parents living apart in different cities left me uninterested in love. No matter who confessed to me, I always replied coldly, "Sorry, I'm not looking to date right now." Until I met Willow. Unlike other women, she pursued me with near-fanatical persistence, clinging relentlessly. Just because I worked year-round and skipped breakfast, she showed up every morning outside my company with porridge she cooked herself, even when the sky was filled with heavy snow. To keep the porridge warm, she even wrapped her down jacket around the small thermos. Her nose was frozen red, yet when she saw me, she instinctively took off her gloves and put them on my hands, smiling brightly as she asked, "Are you cold?" That was when my heart finally stirred. After we got together, her love surged toward me like a tidal wave. She fussed over me every day, fresh breakfasts always waiting on my desk. She waited for me in the underground garage after work, gave me big hugs. And in bed, she gave me everything I wanted and more. Little by little, she warmed my iceberg cold heart. Even the proposal was her idea first. She held a bouquet of flowers, eyes full of joy, and offered them to me. That day, she looked at me with shimmering eyes and said, "George, I promise you that whether in poverty or wealth, or even at the end of the world, I will love you forever. If one day I betray you, then let me be cast into a prison without love, never to appear again." All those past moments of sweetness have now become sharp knives stabbing straight into my heart. 2 months ago, I discovered that Willow was cheating. By day, she was still the loving Mrs. Wong of the Wong family, overflowing with affection toward me. But by night, under the cover of her best friend, she slipped into another man's arms, whispering softly and tenderly. What made it even more ridiculous was that this man was an intern, right under my nose. Just an intern, yet dressed in all kinds of outrageously expensive bespoke suits and driving luxury cars. To prop him up, Willow even went so far as to misuse company assets and assigned him a limited edition supercar. And me? All I deserved was a complimentary fountain pen, and a gift card wrapped in honeyed words but hiding daggers. The mockery at the corner of my mouth slowly turned bitter. Casually, I tossed the gift box and the pen straight into the trash. I took out the divorce agreement and the lawsuit filing, and signed my name, firmly and without hesitation. This kind of love, hollow and fragile like a bubble. I don't want it anymore. And just as she once wished, I will lock her away forever in her prison. After organizing everything, I sent it all to the lawyer's email. I stood at the entrance of the villa. Before I could enter the password, the door suddenly swung open. Petals flew out in a dazzling shower. Willow was wearing a little deer costume, hopping over and clinging tightly to me. "Happy wedding anniversary, husband," she said coquettishly. her eyes shimmering with affection. I'm sorry I didn't have lunch with you today. It was all to prepare this surprise. Today marks our 5th year of marriage, so I prepared 61 gifts. She offered her red lips, her gaze deep and tender. I love you, 1 second more than time itself. I swept my eyes across the room. It was filled with beautifully wrapped gifts, and dishes she had cooked herself. My stomach is weak. In the past, she never allowed the maid to cook for me. Every dish was carefully prepared by her according to a nutritionist's plan, never once repeated. And yet, on her skin were red marks that even thick foundation couldn't hide, and swollen lips that even the deepest lipstick couldn't conceal. My gaze turned icy. I remembered the time I accidentally used her computer for work, and saw her chat history with her best friend, Maria. Photos she took with Makoto at a seaside villa, intimate mirror selfies in the bathroom. Her voice messages were full of excitement. Maria, look at this, my little boy toy has such an amazing body. I'm obsessed, totally obsessed. I shouldn't have bought Ylang Ylang perfume to make it up to my boy toy so he wouldn't go home tonight. I put the seaside villa under his name. The woman who now looked at me with nothing but love in her eyes had just climbed out of another man's bed. Willow wagged her cute little deer tail, clinging to me and acting spoiled. Come on, let's eat first, then later. In bed, we can slowly unwrap the gifts. But tonight, you have to give me one gift too. Her slender, onion-white fingertips traced faint circles over my chest. Her eyes still carried the satisfaction of indulgence. Never noticing my complete indifference, she personally served me food, dish by dish. Every single one was my favorite, down to the chopsticks and bowls, all handmade with patterns she knew I liked. I watched Willow flutter around me like a colorful butterfly. I said calmly, your gift will be delivered to you in half a month. I hope you like it. Her shimmering eyes trembled slightly as she sat beside me. She picked up food and fed it to me, smiling sweetly. Anything my husband prepares for me will be my favorite. I can't wait. A chill was hidden deep in my gaze. Yes, 30 years of solitude. A vow finally fulfilled. You will like it. Willow. Chapter 2. I got out of bed early. Willow was sleeping soundly beside it. Last night, she had worn a gold thread, hollowed-out nightgown, clinging to me, swaying as she begged for intimacy. I didn't touch her. I casually made up an excuse and left. Anything someone else has touched, I find filthy. I saw a message from the lawyer, but immediately after that came another notification. A luxury cruise ticket. I frowned, just about to open it, when Willow rolled into my arms, her bright eyes looking up at me. She said, just take it as compensation for you not satisfying me last night. Come travel with me. Okay. I was about to refuse, but Willow had already sent the information to the company group chat. She even booked cruise tickets for everyone. She got up to prepare a customized breakfast for me. My suit for the event had already been pressed, and the coffee was brewed at my favorite temperature, 7/10 warm. That night, Willow wore a flowing, trailing gown and leaned against me. I remember you once said your favorite thing is watching the stars from the sea. You can see them perfectly here. Even the cabins were filled with tulips, my favorite. From afar, anyone would think we were perfectly matched. A couple made in heaven. In the ship's grand hall, our affectionate travel vlogs played on a loop. Willow held my hand and danced a waltz with me among the crowd. Under the lights, her eyes shimmered, filled with nothing but love for me. At the peak of the banquet, Willow suddenly knelt beside my legs and took out a ring from behind her back. Embedded in it was a jade gemstone. She said, George, this ring was specially customized. There's only one in the world. It's called Eternal Love for You. She didn't notice my silence, only waited eagerly for my reaction. People from the company looked at us with envy, constantly raising their phones to take pictures. The chatter buzzed around us. My God, Willow really knows how to do it, giving her husband a ring. I'm so jealous. Yeah, the flowers on the ship, the scenery, even the champagne, everything is tailored to what President Wang likes. We're witnessing a legend of love. I've become part of their public romance. I'll gladly be this third wheel, please. President Wang and Mrs. Wang, keep showing off and blind us. Knowing I disliked being surrounded, Willow stepped in front of me and smiled warmly at everyone. My husband deserves the very best in this world. At dinner, everyone was seated in the ship's restaurant. Every delicacy on the table was something I loved. Yet I noticed Willow lowering her head to look at her phone, her eyes brimming with sweetness. It's fireworks. At that moment, cries of surprise rose from the deck, and everyone ran out to watch. Magnificent fireworks lit up the entire sky, bright as day. Makoto stood among us and said smugly, these are the Star of the Coast fireworks. One show costs 30 million, an hour costs 50 million, and if you want to name it, that's 100 million. This is from my rich girlfriend. Everyone from the company looked at Makoto, their expressions full of ridicule. Someone said, Makoto, are you still dreaming in broad daylight? A rich girlfriend. Impressive, lying without even a draft. Makoto looked indignant, but still jutted his neck stubbornly. This really is from my girlfriend. She said she wanted to treat everyone to fireworks. No one took him seriously. They all thought Makoto had lost his mind over wishful thinking. Chapter 3. Suddenly, fireworks exploded across the sky above our yacht, one after another, their reflections shimmering on the sea like brilliant stars. But as the fireworks bloomed, they formed Makoto's name, along with syrupy words of affection. Rosa likes Makoto for 100 years. Everyone in the company was stunned. All eyes snapped toward Makoto at once. In an instant, the entire deck erupted, waves of envy rising one after another. Someone shouted, "Holy hell, following a big shot today really opened my eyes. This is the most expensive fireworks show I've ever seen in my life. They really set off fireworks worth over 100 million. I don't want to work hard anymore. Where did you find such an amazing rich girlfriend? Why can't I ever meet one? My God, I've actually seen a real domineering female CEO. There are only two perfect women like this in the world. One is Makoto's rich girlfriend, and the other is Mrs. Wang from the Wang Group. Let's place bets. Who do you think loves her man more, Mrs. Wang or Makoto's rich girlfriend?" After thinking it over, everyone chose Willow. After all, Mrs. Wang had once barged into an influenza isolation ward for President Wang. That was risking her life. Just then, a voice suddenly cut through the noise on the deck. The bartender walked out from the cabin. "Excuse me, is this Mr. Ito?" he asked. "This is a bottle of Romanée-Conti worth 30 million, sent to you by your girlfriend. She hopes you enjoy yourself, and she says that you are the one she loves most in this lifetime." Everyone crowded around, looking at him with envy. "I knew it. No wonder you're just an intern but wear luxury watches every day, drive supercars, and never take off bespoke suits. So that's because you've got a goddess-level girlfriend backing you up." Makoto's eyes were full of pride, his tone unable to hide his boasting. "I told you all already, my girlfriend and I are true love." My knuckles slowly turned white, veins standing out along my wrist. On my phone was the information the finance department had pulled up for me. She was that Rosa. 100 million in fireworks, 30 million in wine, and a yacht rented for 3 million. I did my best to suppress the cold fury in my eyes. My wife, on our wedding anniversary, was betraying me. Makoto was nothing more than an intern. 2 months ago, Willow had personally signed him into the company, made him an intern operations director, and even gave him 40% of the profits. Everyone had speculated whether he had some powerful backer behind him. Now they finally understood. He had entered the game carrying his own resources, and all they could feel was envy. Such a terrifyingly strong backing, indulged so recklessly, something the world rarely sees. But I knew better. Every single cent Willow embezzled was an accelerant for the endless prison sentence awaiting her. Perhaps sensing my silence, Willow immediately put down her phone and touched my hand apologetically. "I'm sorry, honey. Something happened with Maria. She had a fight with her boyfriend." Her gaze was sincere, without the slightest hint of guilt. Yet at that very moment, she had been chatting with Makoto. I couldn't let her be sad all alone, so I kept replying to her messages. "I'm sorry. Okay. Today is meant to make it up to you, so later, I'll stay with you properly." Willow leaned over and acted spoiled, holding my hand. "I'm not like her. I'll love you for my entire life. If I ever lost you, I think I'd go crazy. I can't accept leaving you, not even in death." My eyes hid an icy, mocking chill. Chapter 4. You see, this woman loves me so deeply, yet the most bone-deep betrayal also comes from her. After the ship docked, a new round of banquets began. Willow was carefully peeling sweet shrimp for me when her phone suddenly rang. Her bright eyes trembled at once, and she even subconsciously licked her lips. I said indifferently, "Is something wrong?" She seemed to struggle internally. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "Maria just broke up and is really upset. She needs to see me right away. Honey, can I step away for a bit?" I nodded. She immediately got up and left, unable to hide her urgency. But Makoto was gone from the ship as well. I quickly pulled up Willow's itinerary. She had gone to a nearby hotel, in the underground parking garage. Makoto, dressed in a butler's outfit, looked at Willow with hazy eyes and said, "Master, are you going to eat first, or eat me first?" Willow laughed so hard she nearly doubled over, hooking her arms around his neck and offering her red lips. "My little butler is so obedient. Of course your master has to satisfy you." She pulled him straight into the car. Their intertwined figures clung together, kissing so fiercely they couldn't bear to part. After seeing this, a wave of nausea surged up from my stomach. I rushed to the bathroom and vomited everything I had just eaten. The first time Willow was with me, she trembled in my arms like a little deer, her eyes full of joy, even shedding tears of excitement. She held my fingers and pressed them to her heart, trembling as she said, "George, I belong completely to you now." That glaring red, and the shy woman in my arms. I thought I had found true love for this lifetime, but looking back now, it was nothing more than a cruel joke. I went back and gathered all the gifts Willow had ever given me, threw them together into a pile, and instructed my assistant to sell everything for $1. The assistant asked in shock, "All of them? Every single one?" I lowered my head and looked at the photos. They were sent to me by Makoto, complete with captions. The gold thread hollowed out nightgown. Willow, hazy with moisture. Used condoms scattered on the table. Makoto wrote, "Did you know? The hollow of her lower back is the most sensitive. She can't take it when I touch her there. We've done it on your bed, in the villa, in your office, on the sofa. My marks are everywhere on her now. She's got more and more positions. Even on your wedding anniversary. Her legs were so weak she couldn't get out of bed. We did it 7 times in one night. Can you manage that? Oh, and that jade ring of yours, I said I wanted one. And she gave me an identical one. The jade ring was blindingly painful to look at. I saved every single message and image, one by one, then looked at my assistant with unwavering resolve. Sell all of them. I lay down on the bed, exhaustion crashing over me. A message came through on my phone. It was Willow, saying she would stay with her best friend tonight and wouldn't be coming home. I was already too tired to keep my eyes open. I closed them and fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up the next morning, Willow was kneeling beside my bed. Her eyes were red as she looked at me and said, "Did I do something that made you hate me? Did you sell everything I ever gave you?" Chapter 5. I looked at the dense marks she had tried to conceal with leftover powder. There were also clear restraint marks around her wrists. She hadn't even changed her clothes. The scent on her body that hadn't yet faded lingered at my nose. I looked at her. Her acting was so flawless that even a best actress would pale in comparison. I said, "I don't like those things anymore. I donated all the money from selling them to an orphanage. There's a charity auction nearby. Maria is there too. Since my husband is so loving and kind. As his wife, of course I'll support him unconditionally." Willow grabbed my hand, as if afraid I might disappear at any moment. I watched her in silence. When we arrived at the auction venue, several of her close friends immediately surrounded her. They teased her one after another. "It's so hard to get you to come out. Are you really that afraid of your husband?" "Exactly. We even had to use charity as an excuse just to see you two lovebirds. When will I ever have such sweet love and stop getting dumped?" Maria started pouring out her grievances. Only Willow held onto my arm and said, "He doesn't like the smell of perfume. You should all stay a bit farther away." Her friends looked at us sweetly and giggled. "No wonder you're married. You two are overflowing with sweetness." Makoto, dressed in a bespoke suit, suddenly sat down right between us. The corners of his thin lips curved into a smile, but his gaze lingered greedily on Willow. Willow's expression stiffened slightly, yet she still calmly held onto my hand. Makoto said, "President Wong, I'm here tonight representing the company at this charity gala. You're not upset about that, are you? The kids here are really cute. I'm about to have a child myself. In a few days, I'm planning to live stream with the baby's mom to announce the 4D ultrasound photos. Hey, look, this is my girlfriend's ultrasound report." Makoto's face was full of smug pride. The people around him, however, looked confused and puzzled. I looked at the prenatal ultrasound report, then at the anger barely concealed in Willow's eyes. All I felt was cold. After staying for a while, I grew tired. I stood up and said, "I'll be leaving first. Everyone, enjoy yourselves." Willow wanted to leave with me, but Maria stopped her. "President Wong is busy. Give him some space. Stay and keep us company a bit longer." Willow looked at me tentatively. I couldn't be bothered to say another word to her. "You do as you like." The moment I left, Willow's expression turned icy. In front of her friends, she slapped Makoto hard across the face. "Didn't I tell you, without my permission, you're not allowed to talk to George?" Makoto's eyes reddened as he looked at her stubbornly. He said, "I just miss you too much. If I don't see you for even one day, I feel like I can't breathe." He knelt in front of her and placed his hand into her palm. "Don't be angry, okay? I've saved a surprise for you tonight." Seeing his pitiful expression, Willow swallowed and sat back down. One of her friends laughed. "Willow, you're impressive. You've trained him so well. Must feel intoxicating." "Huh? I heard it feels even better during pregnancy. Go try it tonight. Don't be mad anymore. Women live for pleasure anyway. Isn't the one you love most still George?" Chapter 6. Dragging my exhausted body, I closed my eyes and fell asleep on the bed. That night, Willow sent me a message saying she wouldn't be coming home. I didn't care at all. I deleted it casually. Feelings I no longer cared about could no longer hurt me. For several days in a row, Willow didn't come home. From time to time, my phone would receive provocative photos from Makoto. Photos of the two of them deeply in love by the seaside. Photos of them picking out clothes for the baby together. Photos of them wearing rings on their hands. Photos of them sweetly taking wedding photos together. I did nothing but calmly organize the evidence, piece by piece. On the first anniversary, Willow gave Makoto a luxury watch worth tens of millions. On Makoto's birthday in the second year, she gave him 40% of the account's profits. On the third anniversary, she gave him a seaside villa, countless treasures worth billions in total. I cataloged every single one, and packaged them all up and sent them to the lawyer. I began erasing my traces from this house, the photos we had taken together, the things we had bought, the bed we had slept in, Anything tainted with someone else's scent. I found it filthy. The lawyer sent me a message. Mr. Wong, the next step requires verification of the original evidence. You'll need to come in person. Do you have time? I put on my coat and went out. Snow was falling steadily outside, the cold biting to the bone. After confirming everything with the lawyer, I walked alone down the street. On the massive screens lining the road, Makoto's live stream was playing everywhere. He was sitting in front of a newly opened pawn shop, inside of which jewels and ancient jade worth fortunes were displayed. Every single piece was dazzling to the eye. He said, "Today is the official announcement live stream for me and the baby's mom. She said she wanted our happiness broadcast on every big screen in the city. She's having severe morning sickness, so it's not convenient for her to live stream. We only recorded a video, but today she's specially giving away 1,000 jade pendants across the stream to celebrate our baby." I looked at the tightly wrapped figure on the screen, dressed in maternity clothes, even though she was completely covered. Those slender hands, that voice I had heard countless times. I recognized her instantly. That was Willow, a blissful Willow, speaking in an impossibly sweet voice. "Hello, everyone. I'm Makoto's wife. Today is the day we officially announce that I'm 3 months pregnant. I hope everyone will bless us with a lifetime of harmony and happiness." In an instant, the live stream exploded, flooded with congratulations wishing them eternal happiness. Suddenly, a Maserati screeched to a stop in front of me. Willow hurried out of the car. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up. She took my hands and tucked them into her arms to warm them, saying, "Honey, are you trying to make my heart ache? It's so cold, and you're out here alone." Following my gaze, Willow noticed the live stream raffle playing on the big screen. She naturally slipped into my arms, her bright, captivating eyes gazing at me as she said, "If you like these things, I can buy them for you too. You and I are just like this snow filling the sky. We'll grow old together. I'll never leave you." I didn't answer her, only I knew there was no future left between Willow and me. Maybe it was because the snow that day was too heavy. I fell ill with a fever, and lay in the hospital for 3 full days. In my hazy consciousness, Willow stayed by my side every step of the way. "Honey, it's my fault. I didn't take good care of you." She was so anxious that tears kept rolling down her face. Chapter 7. She even instructed the doctors to use the best medication. Every meal was personally delivered by her. I was staying in a VIP suite. Day after day, I remained distant and silent, giving almost no response. On the 4th day, the room was filled with tulips. Even every corner of the hospital was overflowing with them. A nurse looked at me with envy. "Mr. Wong, Mrs. Wong really dotes on you. These flowers are all shipped in from overseas, fresh every single day. I really envy the relationship you two have. She hasn't closed her eyes for days, staying by your side." Willow looked at me with heartache. "As long as my husband is happy, I'm willing to do anything." She stood up and said, "I'll push you out for a walk." But Makoto suddenly appeared in our hospital room. Seeing me, he gave a light chuckle and said, "What a coincidence, you're here too. I'm accompanying the mother of my child for a prenatal checkup. I didn't expect President Wong to be ill as well." Willow's face turned cold as she dragged Makoto out, pointing at him angrily. "Didn't I tell you, you're not allowed to appear near George again?" Makoto's eyes filled with tears. He clutched the corner of her clothes tightly. "Wife, don't be angry. Okay, I just miss you too much. And besides, you're pregnant. I can't feel at ease letting you be out here alone." He placed Willow's hand into his, looking at her deeply. "I brought you a surprise. Don't you want to see it for yourself?" Willow swallowed. After hesitating for a moment, she still couldn't resist comforting him. She told him to wait for her in the neighboring VIP suite. After getting his way, Makoto revealed a satisfied smile and hurried off next door. Willow straightened her clothes, as if nothing had happened, then turned back to me. "George, there are some matters at the company I need to handle. I'll be right back." She gently stroked my hands to reassure me, yet impatiently slipped into the VIP suite next door. I watched the video Makoto sent me with indifference. My wife of 5 years, in the room right next to mine, was entangled in passion with another man. I turned off the live stream. The porridge she had just fed me churned violently in my stomach. In the end, I threw it all up. I handled the discharge procedures on my own and returned home. A few days before the court hearing, I planned to disappear for a while, where no one could find me. Everything in the house had already been completely cleared away. I sat in the rocking chair, watching the sun, taking one last look at this home. At 20, Willow had chased after me, holding a bouquet of flowers and waiting downstairs all night. Those flowers were dried and preserved, and now, they too ended up in the trash. At 21, she made the entire world celebrate my birthday, sending me a full 100 letters woven with gold thread. I threw them all into the fire basin. At 22, Willow planted tulips all over the villa. I had craftsmen uproot them one by one and throw them away. At last, there was not a single trace of me left in this house. On the 3rd day, just as I was about to leave, Willow sent me a message from a restaurant. "Today, George's little chef. I made your favorite snow fluff red bean buns. I'm really sorry I haven't been with you lately. I'll come home tonight. I love the snow fluff red bean buns she made most of all. Whenever she made them, it felt as if everything she had done could be forgiven. Chapter 8. On the very last day before the lawyer's letter was sent out, Willow was waiting downstairs in a Lamborghini. She was wearing the dress I liked most. The moment she saw me leave the office, she fluttered into my arms like a butterfly. Honey, shall we go to the seaside villa today? Aren't sunrises your favorite? I suddenly smiled, my brows softening. Sure, I said. Let's go watch the sunrise. I would accompany her for one last sunrise. For the next 30 years of her life, she would never see such a beautiful sunrise again. Seeing the gentleness in my expression, Willow finally let out a breath of relief. Like a kitten, she pulled me into the car. Her small hand clutched mine tightly, as if afraid I would leave. She said, "Do you remember that time you were angry and went alone to take a walk on the yacht by the sea? I drove a speedboat all by myself to look for you. You were so scared. You held me tightly in your arms. You won't ever be angry with me again, right?" Willow looked at me with deep affection. Honey, I'll love you forever. She was always like this. Whenever I was angry, she would curl up in my arms like a cat and act spoiled, and I would forget my anger, take her shopping for luxury goods, give her everything she wanted. I forgave every mistake she made. I had wealth worth 10 billion. Willow rose from an intern to a female CEO step by step. So I gave her everything she wanted, fulfilled her dreams, spoiled her like this for 5 whole years, and in doing so, I made her forget why she had everything in the first place. It was only because, once upon a time, I loved her. But now, even if she tore out her heart and handed it to me, I would still find it reeking. The sea breeze was gentle, and the evening glow was beautiful. But not long after we arrived, a message popped up on my phone, a live stream link. The streamer said, "So what if she's back by your side right now? Believe it or not, as long as I crook my finger, she'll appear beside me. She's already pregnant with my child. Almost 3 months now. She's so clingy, she can't leave me for even a moment." I watched the live stream indifferently. Makoto was standing on a swing at the edge of a cliff. Below him was a bottomless abyss. One misstep and he would fall straight into the sea of clouds. He said, "Today's my cliff live stream day. My wife says she'll be here soon. How about we make a bet? I'll keep swinging here for however long it takes her to arrive." Willow, who had been busy in the kitchen, suddenly grew flustered. She came out, set down the red bean paste, and carefully restrained her emotions. "George, something came up at the company. I need to leave for a bit." She looked at me tentatively. My expression was calm. "Go ahead." Only then did Willow breathe out in relief. Yet an inexplicable sense of dread surged up inside her. She grabbed my hand. "I'll be back tomorrow. We'll watch the sunrise together." "Okay." I didn't answer. I only knew there was no after this for us anymore. Willow hurried into the car. I watched her retreating figure. Then I saw a message from my assistant. "There's 1 hour left before the helicopter to City A departs. I'm on my way to pick you up, President." I looked again at the provocative video Makoto sent. Willow ran all the way to the edge of the cliff. She didn't appear on camera. She was just standing outside the frame. "Are you insane? Get down right now, Makoto." Just from that single shout, I could clearly recognize Willow's voice. Makoto revealed a satisfied smile. He said, "Goodbye, friends in the live stream. My wife made it here in 20 minutes. I'm ending the stream now." Makoto turned off the video feed, but not the audio. All I heard was him holding Willow close and whispering, "Baby, did you miss me?" Willow replied, "If I didn't miss you, would I have rushed here in 20 minutes? Don't scare me like that. I'm pregnant. You bully me like this. The baby is already kicking me." Makoto laughed. "Let daddy listen to him. Very soon." An atmosphere too intimate to describe seeped through the audio, and it was broadcast to me alone. Calmly, I closed the live stream and got into my assistant's car. In less than half an hour, we arrived at the private airport. "President, here's the dinner you need to attend. And there's a 20 billion contract that needs your signature." Before boarding the plane, I sent Willow a message. "I sent you a gift. It'll arrive tomorrow. I hope you like it." She replied instantly, "Okay, anything from you, I'll definitely love. When I get back, I'll love you forever." I didn't reply. The snow outside the window had already stopped. I took out my SIM card and threw it away. I boarded the plane and closed my eyes. "Willow, there is no forever for us anymore." At that moment, Willow suddenly felt uneasy and abruptly opened her eyes. Makoto, half asleep beside her, murmured, "It's still early. Go back to sleep." Willow pushed him away, anxiously grabbed her phone. There wasn't a single message from me. Her heart felt like a piece had been torn away. She raised her phone to call me, but instead, a call from an unfamiliar number came in. She answered instinctively. A voice said, "Hello, is this MS?" Willow, We're calling on behalf of Mr. George to formally file a lawsuit against you. The lawyer's letter has already been sent to your email. Chapter 9. Willow stared at the lawyer's letter on her phone, her fingers trembling uncontrollably. Her heart was pounding violently. A lawsuit. Did George discover something? Impossible. He loved her so much, he would never file a lawsuit against her. She was the one who had pursued George in the first place. But George had never been stingy with her love or generosity. The moment Willow became his girlfriend, he gave her a bracelet worth $50 million. At 21, on her birthday, he bought her every Hermes bag in the entire city. At 22, on their wedding anniversary, as long as she liked something in a jewelry store, George would buy it for her. At 23, when she proposed to him, George gave her more than a dozen villas. George had once held her and said that as long as she wanted something, he would give it to her. She had only used some money. How could he possibly sue her? Willow's tears welled up. On the verge of falling, Makoto didn't know what had happened. He simply wrapped his arms around her waist from behind and murmured, "What's wrong, baby? Sleep a little longer." It must be because she hadn't been with George lately and had made him angry. She abruptly pushed Makoto away. Her eyes turned cold as she said, "I have company matters to deal with. I need to go back." Makoto looked at her pitifully, tears brimming in his eyes. Like an abandoned puppy. In the past, whenever he looked like this, Willow would bend down and kiss him. But today, she didn't even glance at him once. She hurried away without hesitation. Willow drove back to the seaside villa. As long as she acted cute and coaxed George a little, he would forgive her like before. She pushed the door open and rushed straight into the bedroom. "Honey, I know." But the room was empty. The bed was neat, untouched, as if no one had slept there. Her heart sank little by little into an icy abyss. Willow returned to their main villa and searched room after room. George Wang was nowhere to be found. She called the assistant. "Do you know where George went?" The assistant had already received instructions that before the court hearing, no one was allowed to disclose the president's whereabouts. He only replied, "Madam, President Wang's private movements aren't under my responsibility." Willow panicked completely. A wave of fear surged up from deep within her chest. She was terrified that George no longer loved her. The pain was like a spike driven straight into her heart, piercing to the bone. She gasped for air. She couldn't accept George not loving her, not even for a single minute. She stood up, intending to go to the company to look for George's address, when she suddenly noticed all the gifts she had given George were gone. They had clearly been placed there before, neatly arranged. How could they suddenly disappear? She searched the entire house but found nothing. Willow was certain that a thief had broken in. She immediately called the police and explained the situation. After repeatedly checking the surveillance footage, the police confirmed once more, "Madam, there was no break-in at your home." Her heart throbbed with pain. How could she not know? How could she not know that in a villa with such tight security, a thief was impossible? She knew. She just refused to believe it. She refused to believe that George had cleared away everything she gave him. Willow stood up, her face pale as paper. A sharp pain surged from her abdomen. She was already 3 months pregnant. Such intense emotional turmoil sent stabbing pain through her belly. But she couldn't care about that anymore. She only wanted to find George as soon as possible, to apologize to him, to tell him that she could repay every single cent, one bit at a time, as long as he would still love her, compared to a 30-year prison sentence. What she feared more was a world without George. Chapter 10. I woke up in a hotel in a foreign country. Today was the first day Willow received the lawyer's letter. The moment I turned on my phone, I saw over 100 missed calls, and countless apology messages. "Hubby, I was wrong. I shouldn't have used your money to buy so many things. I spent too much. Can you come back? I'll pay everything back to you. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Honey, please come back. Okay. Don't leave me. I'll die." The corner of my lips curled into a mocking smile. I watched Willow lower herself bit by bit in her apologies. Yet my heart remained completely unmoved. The vows she once made had now come true word for word. Why, then, was she crying so desperately? I went down to the restaurant, sipping my coffee, calmly reading the updates sent by my assistant. "Madam bought back all those gifts at auction and placed them in your bedroom. She won't let anyone enter, saying you'll be happy when you see them. She also replanted every single tulip that had been uprooted across the city. She said that as long as you don't forgive her, she won't eat a single meal." Madam, before the assistant could finish, I stopped listening. I looked at the pictures Makoto sent me. He wrote, "Isn't this your wedding ring? We had an identical one custom made together." She said that in her heart. She's already married to me. And this, she booked this flight ticket for me, saying she wants to go home with me to meet my parents and tell them she's pregnant. She loves me to the bone. As long as I want something, she'll give it to me. George, have you still not seen things clearly? Haven't you already lost completely? Willow waited from dawn until nightfall. She searched every corner of the city, yet found no trace of me. All she received was a confirmation notice of submitted legal materials. Her nose twitched. At last, she couldn't hold on anymore and fainted. When she woke up, a nurse looked at her sorrowfully and said, "Madam, you lost the baby." Willow clutched her abdomen. The small life that had once been beating inside her was gone. Yet there was no sadness at all in her eyes. From the very beginning, Makoto had only been a momentary indulgence to her. After reaching a height others couldn't touch, her circle of friends had all advised her, it was just for fun. Wasn't that what women wanted? A bit of pleasure. The stamina of youth had intoxicated her. She thought it was nothing more than spending a few $100 million to buy happiness. George loved her so much, he wouldn't mind. But the moment the lawyer's letter arrived, Willow felt as if her heart had been ripped out. Looking at Makoto's ingratiating face now, the thrill she once felt was already gone, replaced by irritation. She said, "I'm tired. Can you stop bothering me?" She entrusted her agent to find George at all costs. She couldn't endure even a single second without him. Willow believed that as long as she humbled herself, apologized, and returned all the assets, George would definitely forgive her. Thinking of this, tears fell from her eyes one by one. Makoto read Willow's impatient messages, and a surge of jealousy rose sharply within him. Willow was now pregnant with his child. The one by her side should have been him, the one who wasn't loved. That was the real third party. Yet George was still shamelessly clinging to the title of husband, standing in the way of their happiness. Makoto would never allow that. Chapter 11. Willow Lu didn't stay long in the hospital. Even with N4 still in her hand, she insisted on being discharged. Her face was deathly pale, not a trace of color left. "MS, Lu, you've just had a miscarriage. You need time to recover," the nurse reminded her kindly. Willow flung the nurse's hand away, her eyes reddening as she shouted, "Get out of my way. I haven't found George yet. How do I have time to lie here?" The nurse was startled and didn't dare step forward again. Willow stumbled back home and began combing through every corner, searching for the faintest clue about where George might have gone. But there was nothing, not a single trace. She called her circle of friends one by one, asking about George. They all thought she had gone crazy. "How would we know where your husband is?" Willow's heart slowly turned to ashes. How could she not know? Everyone knew that George was the person she loved most. She was almost always with him, hardly ever apart. Of course she had never let her friends know anything about his whereabouts. But when did it start? When she was constantly by Makoto's side. When she began working late and not coming home, greedily indulging in excitement. When she didn't even spend their anniversary with George. And when did George's eyes begin to lose their warmth, replaced by that distant, icy gaze? Willow felt like she couldn't breathe. Her hands trembled as she unlocked her phone. Unwilling to give up, she messaged every one of George's friends on her contact list, asking about his whereabouts. As long as she knew where he was, she would immediately get on a plane to find him. She didn't care if he hit her, scolded her, or demanded that she return every last cent of the assets. She couldn't accept George not loving her, not even for a single minute. Suddenly, a trending topic popped up. It was about George. Willow hurriedly tapped it open, afraid to miss even a second of news about him. The headline read, "Wang Group President George auctions off anniversary gifts from Mrs. Wang." The topic quickly exploded, flooding the screen with comments. Someone wrote, "I just saw Willow's gifts to George listed again on a second-hand platform. I think one of them is their wedding ring. What's going on? Did they have a fight? And why are they all listed for just a few dollars? Oh my God, what kind of drama is this?" Willow panicked. Impossible. George wouldn't do that. How could he sell the things she gave him again? In a frenzy, she opened the auction platform. His 20th birthday, the first watch she ever gave him. His 21st birthday, the pigeon blood ruby brooch she gifted him. At 22, the belt she personally fastened around his waist. Every item had a starting bid of $1. People flooded in, bidding with a mix of opportunism and curiosity. Some items were even driven up to millions, because their love had once been something countless people envied, admired, and longed to possess. Willow picked up her bank card and checked the balance. There were only tens of millions left. She had spent nearly all of it indulging Makoto, even misappropriating company funds. That was why George had become angry with her. Realizing this, tears fell from her eyes. One by one, she couldn't accept a life without George. She immediately began bidding under an anonymous account, buying back every single gift, even when the balance on her card was completely drained. As long as George saw these gifts again, he would still be happy. Chapter 12. Willow wiped away her tears and replied in the comments section, "They're still very much in love. There was no fight at all. Willow loves George more than anyone in this lifetime." But as she typed that line, her fingers suddenly froze. At their wedding, she had once said that in this life she would love only him. If she ever broke that vow, she would be sentenced for eternity to a prison without his love. Willow completely panicked. She couldn't even care about the pulling pain in her lower abdomen anymore. 6 days. There were 6 days left until the court hearing. She had to find George. Outside, heavy snow was falling. She was dressed far too lightly. Staggering along the road, she slipped and fell. Blood sliding down from her scraped knees. Through blurred, tear-filled eyes, she sobbed again and again. George, where are you? George. Suddenly, someone stepped out in front of her. Those leather shoes, so familiar. The wind and snow obscured her vision. George, is that you? She threw her arms around him. George, I miss you so much. George. Makoto crouched down in front of her, looking at Willow, once radiant and dazzling, now kneeling in the snow in utter misery. Jealousy surged violently in his chest. He grabbed Willow's arm tightly, almost roaring. Look at me, who do you think I am? Only then did Willow see Makoto's face. Her expression instantly turned cold. She shoved him away. You're not George. Get away. I'm going to find George. Makoto clutched her arm desperately, tears falling one after another as he said, even if I'm not George, even if I don't know what happened between you two, but I love you too. Can't you look at me for once? I'm the child's father too. The child? A strange, cold smile appeared on Willow's pale face. She said, if it's not George's child, what do I need it for? I've already aborted it. Get lost. She used all her strength to push Makoto away. Makoto felt as if his heart had been smashed to pieces. His mind went blank. The child was gone. He had schemed so carefully, all to replace George, to become Willow's husband. He thought he had finally succeeded, that the lavish life of the elite was already within reach, but he never imagined she would abort the child. Makoto trembled as he asked, You really aborted the child? His eyes were bloodshot as he clutched Willow's arm. I don't believe it. I don't believe you. Willow didn't want to tangle with him any longer. She shoved him away again. What are you compared to George? How dare you put yourself on the same level? Suddenly, a new message popped up. A message from one of George's clients. She hurriedly opened it. MS. Lou. I heard you're looking for news about President Wang. I saw that you bought back all the gifts you gave him. I found your story very loving. It really moved me. If you want to know George's whereabouts, you can contact me. Willow's eyes lit up. She didn't spare another glance at Makoto slumped on the ground. She struggled up from the snow, desperate to go find George, but her body gave out. She collapsed and lost consciousness. Chapter 13. I sat in a French restaurant, sipping coffee as I listened to my assistant's report. He said, MS. Lou went to the hospital and had an abortion. She also bought back all the gifts Mr. Wang put up for sale. She won't allow anyone into her room. She says she's waiting for you to come back. After she was discharged, she insisted on looking for you and fainted in the snow. I looked at the endless apology messages and the hysterical voice recordings of her crying. My eyes were filled with cold indifference. Belated affection is cheaper than dirt, let alone affection after betrayal. I was the one who had a client send her the address. I was also the one who printed out all of Makoto's provocations and placed them inside that house. Willow. This love was destroyed by your own hands. Now watch for yourself. How it rots. Chapter 14. Willow Lou woke up and immediately contacted George's client. She was desperate to learn anything about George. Hello, Miss Lou. This is Mr. Wang's location. He's staying in room 2020. Once she knew where he was, Willow hurriedly put on her makeup and booked a flight. She wore the white dress she had worn on her first date with George. Back then, George had held her hand and taken her to the largest Hermes store in the city, buying her a limited edition spring-summer dress. The sales associate had said that only 10 pieces were released worldwide, each worth $3 million, and that it also came with a specially customized ribbon valued at $500,000. Her eyes had widened as she carefully tugged at George's sleeve. This is too expensive. George had only kissed her forehead and said gently, I like seeing my baby wear the prettiest little white dress, because you deserve the best. Willow sat in economy class, her eyes red-rimmed, but her heart full of hope. She believed that as long as she came to see him wearing this dress, George's love would surely be rekindled. She couldn't wait to see George and endured the long hours until the plane landed. She grabbed her luggage and ran toward the exit of the cabin, but her body, still weak from a recent miscarriage, made her dizzy again and again. Even so, she didn't dare stop for a single moment. She was afraid she wouldn't get to see George. That thought was more painful than death. Some passing passengers recognized her and stepped forward excitedly. Excuse me, are you Miss Lou? We're your fans. Your love story is so sweet. Could you give us an autograph? Me too. I even collected the necklace from your relationship. Please sign for us. In an instant, everyone crowded around her. Willow felt irritated and wanted to push them away. But then she thought, if they found out she had lost George, the internet would explode with overwhelming discussion. And George wouldn't like that. No, that couldn't happen. She wouldn't allow anyone to question her love with George. George loved her. Thinking this, She patiently signed autographs one by one and told them that she and George would grow old together. Only then did the fans leave, satisfied. Once they dispersed, Willow hurried to look for George and finally arrived at the hotel where he was staying. Nervously, she looked at herself in the mirror inside the hotel. Her face looked a little pale, so she quickly took out the lipstick in George's favorite color and applied it. She checked herself again in the mirror, still tense, and then went to the door of the room. With trembling fingers, Willow knocked softly. George. The door opened automatically. Her eyes lit up. Did George know she was coming and leave the door unlocked for her? She knew George couldn't stay angry for long. She pushed the door open eagerly and shouted excitedly, "Honey, have you forgiven me?" But once inside, the only thing that answered her was the echo of her own voice, and an empty room. Where was George? Her heart clenched. She rushed inside to search, only to find no one there. When she looked up, she saw row after row of horrifying photographs. They were shocking, filthy bed photos. Photos of every night she wasn't there, of him indulging in Makoto's tenderness. In the car, in their villa, in her office. Every single clear frame stabbed painfully into her eyes. Beneath the photos were printed chat records. Willow trembled as she read them, her eyes slowly filling with despair. They read, "Do you know? In your villa, in the marital bedroom, every place you exist, I've left my traces. She's pregnant now. She can't be away from me for even a moment." When Willow saw those disgusting chat records, a surge of rage nearly drove her to want to kill Makoto on the spot. At the same time, her heart cooled bit by bit. She collapsed onto the mess covering the floor. Willow didn't dare imagine what George must have felt when he saw all of this. Just thinking about it made every breath feel painful. She finally accepted a reality. George was serious. From the moment he learned about her cheating, she had already been sentenced to death in his heart. He took love extremely seriously. He had once said that in this lifetime, he could give her everything, and that he would love only her. But if she betrayed him, then he would make her honor her promise, casting her forever into a prison without him, condemning her to die in eternal loneliness. Tears fell from Willow's eyes. One by one, she couldn't accept a world without George. 4 days. As long as within these 4 days she returned everything to George, they could surely start over. It was him. It was that bastard Makoto who had sent these filthy things to George and made him angry. She couldn't tolerate it. She couldn't tolerate anyone tearing her and George apart. Willow's eyes turned icy cold as she ripped everything to shreds. She believed she had hidden things well. With Makoto, she only wanted a bit of pleasure, to kill time, to have some fun with her girlfriends. How had George found out? If it weren't for that bastard, George wouldn't have discovered it. He wouldn't have gotten angry over the billions she had moved, and he wouldn't have seen her in such a disgraceful state. Willow stood up and burned all the photos, cleanly, thoroughly, deceiving herself into believing none of it had ever happened. She returned to the country. Now she was going to take back everything she had given to Makoto. Willow found a lawyer. "May I ask, can these things still be taken back? I want all the assets I gave him to return to my name." When the lawyer saw the list of assets in Willow's hand, he found it shocking. But out of professional ethics, he still said, "Miss Liu, these were gifts. In theory, they can't be reclaimed. However, you can attempt to recover all of them under the name of marital joint property. That would give you a slim chance. Or you could have him sign a voluntary waiver of property rights." Once Willow understood, she immediately called Makoto. She said, "Makoto, what happened that day was my fault. I'm waiting for you here. Can you come over?" When Makoto saw the message, his eyes lit up. He put on the clothes Willow liked most and rushed to the location without stopping. As long as Willow still liked him, there was still a chance for him to become her husband. The child was gone. They could have another one. George had disappeared. His position was there for the taking. Makoto saw photos online of Willow being spotted abroad. Her hair was messy as she walked out of economy class, red-eyed as she took photos with fans. She looked haggard and uneasy. He did feel a bit puzzled about why Willow was sitting in economy class, but very quickly, the huge diamond ring on her finger dispelled his doubts. Maybe first class had been full. As long as he took Mr. Willow's place, all that wealth would belong to him. Chapter 15. Willow sat inside the villa she had given to Makoto, having already hidden the sedatives, waiting for him to arrive. When Makoto showed up and saw Willow sitting there in a little white dress, his eyes filled with delight. He rushed forward and hugged her tightly, saying affectionately, "Baby, I knew you loved me. I know George is gone, but I still love you." In his arms, just smelling his scent made Willow feel utterly nauseated, but she endured it and let him finish speaking. Makoto was completely unaware of anything and still indulging in his CEO fantasy. He reached for Willow's hand, but Willow casually avoided it, and he, lost in his joy, didn't notice at all. He said, "Willow, the child is gone, but we can have another one. From now on, I'll be with you forever." Forever? A strange smile lifted the corner of Willow's lips as she concealed the murderous intent in her eyes. A bastard like him, how dare he talk about forever? She eagerly handed him the water she was holding. Completely unguarded, Makoto drank it as the sedatives took effect and he gradually fell asleep. Willow took out the pre-prepared voluntary return agreement, grabbed Makoto's finger, and pressed it down. She even imitated his signature. Having obtained everything, joy flickered in Willow's eyes. As long as she returned all the assets to George, he would definitely forgive her. She hurriedly called George, but on the other end, the same cold automated message sounded as always. Willow's heart slowly sank when she thought of those filthy photos being seen by George. Just imagining it made her feel as if a piece of her heart had been torn out. Willow looked at Makoto with venomous hatred. If it weren't for him, if it weren't for this bastard. Her eyes were filled with disgust. She immediately contacted security, had Makoto thrown out, and took back everything she had previously given him. She informed the company that all of his positions were revoked. From that day on, the name Makoto was no longer allowed to appear within the company. Willow rushed nonstop to every notary office where she had registered gifts given to Makoto, reclaiming all the assets. That way, George would forgive her. At the thought of George's forgiveness, Willow's eyes brimmed with happiness. When Makoto woke up, he realized he was no longer in the villa. His car keys, watch, everything on him was gone. Panic set in. He desperately tried to recall every detail, finally remembering that he had passed out in the villa Willow had given him. Just as he was about to call the police, he picked up his phone and received a headhunting notice from the company, along with a share transfer agreement. Stamped clearly on it was his fingerprint. Makoto voluntarily waives ownership of a villa worth 30 million. Makoto voluntarily waives ownership of a pawnshop worth 100 million. Among the remaining 10 entries were notices that Willow had reclaimed all the assets she had given him. Makoto was completely panicked. When had he ever signed these documents? He immediately called his lawyer to question them. Who authorized you to transfer the assets I own? Who gave you that right? The lawyer, already used to this kind of unreasonable outburst, replied coldly. Black and white. Sir, it's your own fingerprint. Please carefully look at the signature section of the contract. Makoto saw the red mark still left on his finger. His pupils filled with shock. Chapter 16. It was Willow. Willow did this. Why would she do something like this? Makoto suddenly realized something. After Willow returned from abroad, she had started acting strangely. Could it be that she had seen George, that she was trying to reconcile with him, and that she now knew everything Makoto had done? Makoto looked at the messages and photos he had sent, then recalled the murderous look in Willow's eyes. He knew Willow loved George more than anything. If she found out the truth, she would never let him off. Makoto's first instinct was to apologize to Willow. As long as he did what he had always done before, soften his tone, say a few nice words, tell her that he only did it because he loved her too much, Willow would surely forgive everything. He picked up his phone and called Willow. As soon as the call connected, he hurriedly began apologizing. Willow, are you angry? I didn't do it on purpose. I just loved you too much. I wanted to completely possess you. George has everything, but I only have you. And I was once the father of that child too. That sentence instantly pierced Willow's nerves. The moment she thought of the child she had once carried, an abomination that had hurt George, she felt like she wanted to die. Shut up, you bastard. How dare you mention George? I told you before, George is my bottom line. No one is allowed to touch him. Hearing her voice, cold as a glacier, Makoto's heart sank completely. He knew there was no hope of getting the assets back, but what shocked him even more was that Willow was preparing to completely blacklist him. Willow released videos online of him embezzling company funds, as well as footage of him sleeping around with multiple female celebrities. Citing his vile behavior, she made sure he would never be able to appear as an influencer again. In an instant, the entire internet exploded. I never thought Makoto, who looked so upright and decent, would turn out to be such trash. Yeah, didn't his girlfriend get pregnant, and he was still messing around like that? Oh my god, that's disgusting. For a time, everyone despised him, verbal attacks, public condemnation, and even deified Willow and George's love story. Makoto suffered relentless online abuse at home. He became like a rat crossing the street, shouted down by everyone. People even threw rotten eggs at his house. He had planned for so long to climb to the top, only to end up completely disgraced. He got nothing. His eyes were bloodshot. Since Willow didn't want him to live, then he wouldn't let Willow live either. Makoto immediately opened his phone and recorded a video of himself, his face pale, tears in his eyes. A trending topic titled, "Willow Deceives a Small Influencer Behind Wong Group's CEO's Back," quickly shot to the top of the hot searches. Netizens swarmed in to watch the drama unfold. The post laid out a clear timeline. Willow approached me first, said she liked me and wanted to be with me. She gave me many gifts. She said she only married George because he was rich, and that she would divorce him in the future and marry me instead. I stayed as the side piece only because I loved her too much. If you want to know the whole truth, come to my live stream tomorrow. The topic completely blew up across the internet. At first, everyone questioned it. They simply didn't believe Willow would cheat. How much Willow loved George. Every scene of it was etched clearly in their memories. She loved George down to her bones. She would even give up her life for him. How could she possibly cheat? But very quickly, sharp-eyed netizens began to notice something was off. Chapter 17. Makoto was a newly signed brand ambassador of the Wong Group. His direct superior was none other than Willow. Someone even turned around and uploaded videos of the two of them going for prenatal checkups together. Online discussions about them grew more and more intense, with hundreds of millions of people watching the drama unfold. Oh my god, this can't be real, can it? That's absolutely disgusting. I feel so bad for George. When Willow married George, she was just a small-time employee. Now she's the CEO's wife, and she's secretly keeping a side piece. I'm completely shattered. The so-called love of the century was fake. Willow using George's money to keep a side piece is the real story. When Willow saw the trending topics, she completely panicked. After losing his assets, Makoto had decided to drag her down to hell with him. She immediately contacted her PR team, wanting to suppress everything completely within the 2 days before the court hearing. Every minute the topic stayed on the trending list burned through millions. Whitewashing narratives were pushed wave after wave, but the topic still firmly dominated the #1 spot. Makoto wasn't backing down either. His life was already ruined. So why should Willow get to live well? He directly released one explosive, heavily censored photo after another across the entire internet, along with chat records so explicit they made people blush. Makoto, tonight I'll drain you dry. Wait for me to come spoil you. Next time, let's change locations. How about my marital bedroom? Now Willow's cheating was completely confirmed. Netizens were furious. The couple they had once genuinely shipped turned out to be this filthy. People felt deeply indignant on my behalf. They began boycotting Willow en masse and even went to her company to protest. Chapter 18. In the past, I believed Willow was ambitious and understood that she didn't want to be just a kept woman, so I poured resources into supporting her, helping her build an independent career in her own company. Now, because of public backlash, everyone rushed to cut ties with her, even the close girlfriends she once trusted. They withdrew all their funding without hesitation. When they saw Willow, it was as if they were seeing something dirty, avoiding her at all costs. The clients had only invested so much in Willow because of my reputation, and now she was taking my money to keep a side piece. Several major shareholders withdrew immediately. They even warned Willow, if her actions damaged the brand's interests, they would file lawsuits against her. What awaited her would be compensation in the tens of millions. Willow Lu looked at the Lu Corporation, teetering on the brink of collapse. She could only shut down part of its operations. Overwhelmed and frantic, all the cash in her hands was gone, and the netizens had no intention of letting her off. They blocked her wherever she went, hurling insults non-stop. Now only I could come forward. Only if I came forward, all the slander would collapse on its own. Tears fell one by one as Willow begged me. Honey, I really was wrong. Please don't be angry anymore. Okay. I've returned all the assets to you as long as you forgive me. My remaining life belongs to you. I just made a mistake that any woman could make. I looked at her coldly as she begged in humiliation, and closed the chat window. Even now, Willow still thought I sued her only because I was angry, hoping I would turn back, hoping we could reconcile like before. But I had stopped loving her long ago. From the moment she cheated, my love for her fell into the mud. It would never turn back. I looked at the message my lawyer sent me. It read, Mr. Wong, the court date is the day after tomorrow. Will you be appearing in person? Or should we send a proxy lawyer on your behalf? I silently chose to have a proxy lawyer appear for me. I would never appear before Willow again. Seeing her one more time would only be a betrayal of the me who had once given everything. After receiving my decision, the lawyer organized the materials and waited for Willow before the hearing. Unable to accept reality, Willow never appeared in court. She couldn't believe it, that I truly didn't love her anymore. No matter how many messages she sent, how many times she cried and begged, I never replied once. Even so, the trial proceeded as scheduled. When the police came to take her away, Willow hid at home in complete panic. Only when everyone saw her being escorted by the police into the courthouse, did they finally realize the truth. No wonder she had so much money to buy gifts for others. So it was embezzlement and tax evasion. George really did the right thing. A woman like that deserves prison. Everyone was watching the verdict. The entire trial was even live streamed online, with all eyes fixed on it. The view count shot up into the tens of millions, nearly crashing the network. At the same time, Makoto was brought into court as an accomplice, as the records of Willow's embezzlement were revealed one by one. Everyone was utterly shocked. The gifts she had given Makoto totaled over 100 million, and what she had given me didn't even compare to a fingernail. Everyone felt furious on my behalf. They had never seen such a greedy woman. She had defiled my love. Even the judge looked displeased at this woman, already married into wealth, yet still cheating with others, with conclusive evidence laid out. I refused to appear in court. Chapter 19. Willow stood at the defendant's bench, anxiously looking toward the plaintiff's side. As long as George came, even just one glance, letting her see him one last time would be enough. Even if he hit her, even if he scolded her, she just wanted to see George. But as she scanned the courtroom, there was no sign of him. Had he grown so disgusted that he didn't even want to see her one last time? Not even as she was about to be sent to prison. Tears fell one by one as Willow's heart felt as though it were being torn apart. She had lost George's love. George had seen everything online, and that only made him more unwilling to see her. And the one who caused all of this was Makoto. Makoto, also standing as a defendant, was already terrified and panicking. He told the judge he knew nothing, claiming that long-term psychological pressure had driven him to a breakdown. The judge asked whether they had any objections to the evidence. Willow said nothing. She only told the judge that if George did not appear, she would not plead guilty. Only if George told her with his own mouth that he no longer loved her, then even death would be acceptable to her. After days without eating, Willow collapsed in the courtroom. The court had no choice but to adjourn on humanitarian grounds. Willow was sent for medical treatment. Chapter 20. Watching all of this, I felt nothing but ridicule. Things had already reached this point. From the moment she cheated, I had long since let go. Yet Willow was still naively clinging to the belief that I might turn back, holding tightly to her obsession. The lawyer asked me whether I wanted to see Willow. When Willow woke up, she pulled out the 4-needle delivering her nutrients. She contacted her lawyer, and at the same time contacted the entire Liu family. They bailed her out, and also bailed Makoto out. The total bail amounted to 500,000. The next day, they disappeared without a trace. I still had no intention of seeing her. Someone I no longer loved. Seeing them even once was unnecessary. My business in Country Y had already concluded. I stayed at the estate under my name. I sat on the open-air balcony, drinking tea. I used to think that once Willow became pregnant, I would take her traveling everywhere. I had bought hotels in 30 different countries. From each hotel, you could see the most beautiful scenery. Back then, I truly wanted to spend my entire life with her. But now the scenery was still there. Only the people had changed. I knew she had been released on bail, but the trial would proceed as scheduled. What awaited Willow was a lifetime with no visible end. Chapter 21. In the few remaining days she had, Willow still hadn't given up searching for George. After deducting the bail money, she had almost no funds left. She could now only live in the very last house she owned. All the others had been auctioned off. In a hotel room, Willow anxiously flipped through photos one by one, trying to find any clue to George's whereabouts. She just wanted to see him once more before going to prison. Even just one glance would be enough. Makoto curled up in the corner, looking at Willow in terror, shouting loudly, "You're crazy, you're a lunatic." After bailing him out, Willow had actually locked him in a cage. His hands and feet were bound. The house she was staying in was by the seaside, completely isolated. She didn't even give him food or water. Like a dog, he was locked in that cage for 2 days. Makoto suffered inhuman treatment. Willow either beat him or cursed at him, burning him with cigarette butts, smashing him with wine bottles. He lost consciousness countless times, yet whenever he woke up, the wounds on his head had already been bandaged. Makoto's nerves finally snapped. He screamed for Willow to let him go. He would rather go to prison than be tortured to death here. Annoyed, Willow hurled a glass of water at him. The freshly bandaged wound started bleeding again. She stared at him with venomous hatred and said, "Shut up. If it weren't for you. If you hadn't sent those photos to George, he would still love me. He would still love me." Tears fell one by one as Willow thought of George. Her heart ached with every beat. Makoto was so frightened that he didn't dare speak anymore, sobbing softly inside the cage. Eventually, he passed out. Willow ignored him. She continued flipping through the photos, one by one, until finally, in the far corner of one photo, she saw George's back. It was on a street in Country Y. Tears streamed down Willow's face. She was finally going to see George. As long as she could see him once more, as long as he still loved her, even going to prison, even dying, would be worth it. Willow tried to use her ID to buy a plane ticket, but her passport had already been blacklisted. She couldn't get a visa. She had no way to leave the country. Anxious like an ant on a hot pan, she spun in circles. In the end, she made a bold decision. She would take long-distance buses across borders. No matter what, she would find George. Chapter 22. The long-distance bus heading overseas required 2 days and 2 nights of travel. Willow hurriedly got on board. 2 days and 2 nights on the road. By the time she arrived at the 5-star hotel where George was staying, she looked like a vagrant, stumbling along in exhaustion. The hotel staff looked at this barely standing woman. As soon as she came close, there was a sour, unpleasant smell, but she was still wearing luxury brands. Suppressing their discomfort, they asked politely, "Excuse me, is there anything we can help you with?" Only then did Willow realize how disheveled she looked. She felt a bit embarrassed. If George saw her like this, he wouldn't like it. She said, Hello, may I use your bathroom? I have money. Willow hurriedly pulled out cash. Perhaps thinking she was a woman who had encountered something terrible, the front desk staff looked at her with pity. Please follow me. They opened a room for her. Willow rushed straight into the bathroom. She took a shower with the hottest water possible. She scrubbed so hard she felt like she could peel her skin off. She just wanted to tell George. She wasn't dirty. She really loved him. She hadn't touched Makoto again. After changing into a small dress, Willow nervously applied lipstick and went to the front desk to ask, "Excuse me, is Mr. George staying here?" The receptionist glanced at the photo and said, "He's very handsome, the most attractive man from China I've ever seen. But I can only tell you that he does stay here. We can't disclose his room number." The answer disappointed her, but Willow didn't give up. She planned to wait here, just to see George. Seeing how persistent she was, the receptionist felt a bit of sympathy. She said, "You can try this place. He seems to attend fashion shows and parties there at night. You might be able to see him." With that help, Willow quickly took the flyer and found the location of the party, facing such a luxurious show venue. Even Willow felt intimidated. In the past, George often brought her to fashion shows like this. Thinking of George, her eyes filled with tears. She forced them back. She just wanted to say one sentence to him, to ask whether he still loved her. After arriving at the venue, Willow wasn't allowed into the inner area. She could only follow the crowd, weaving through the mass of people. She stretched her neck desperately, trying to catch a glimpse of George inside. Finally, at the very center of the most dazzling stage, she saw George again. The moment she saw him, everyone else in Willow's world lost all color. She instinctively pushed through the crowd, wanting to throw herself into his arms. "George, it's me, Willow." Before she could finish, she was blocked by a group of people. "Sorry, miss. This area is restricted. You can't go in." Willow seemed unable to hear them. She stared at George's retreating figure and shouted, "George, George is leaving. Get out of my way, I need to see George." She tried to crash past the bodyguards. Her eyes locked tightly onto the men she thought of day and night. Her heart was about to leap out of her chest. "George, I was really wrong. As long as you forgive me, as long as you forgive me, I'll do anything." Just as Willow was on the verge of breaking down and rushing forward, she saw a scene that made her pupils violently contract. She couldn't believe it. A stunningly beautiful woman smiled gently and reached out, hooking her arm through George's. Chapter 23. Vaguely, it felt like I heard someone calling my name. I was just about to turn around and look, when Anna's voice interrupted me. "George, thank you for coming to my show." I lowered my head and looked at Anna. My childhood friend had grown up. I still remember when I was little. My parents divorced, and I became the byproduct of their failed marriage. Whenever they argued endlessly over who should take custody of me, Anna would climb in through the window. Her small body would stand in front of me, like a little beast baring its teeth, protecting me. "If you don't want him, I do." She took me to eat at her house, let me sleep there. Back then, I was often bullied. She would fight for me in kindergarten, then look at me with a face full of bruises and a bright smile. "I don't hurt. You eat the candy." Everyone knew that wherever I appeared, Anna would definitely be there. She was always the first one waiting for me after class. She brought me my favorite snacks. She even walked with me from South City all the way to North City, just because the stars by the river were the prettiest. I would go crazy with her too. We went to snowy mountains together. That kind of life lasted from when I was 5 until I was 18. After graduating from high school, we went to different cities. From then on, we only contacted each other occasionally, until the last message. She asked me, "Do you really have to get married?" I didn't understand. I just thought Anna felt I was marrying too early, that she was sulking. So I replied, "When you get married, I'll give you a huge red envelope and be your family's backbone. Let's see which bastard dares bully you." Anna only replied with one sentence, "Wishing you happiness in the future." After that, we never contacted each other again, until she found out I had come to Country F. She dropped everything and rushed to this country without hesitation. Using a fashion show as an excuse, she invited me to attend, but I was no longer a teenager. After going through a marriage that left me physically and emotionally exhausted, and now seeing Anna look at me with such hopeful eyes, every element of the show was something I loved, something tied to memories of her and me. The swing set we played on together when we were 5, the starry sky we watched together at 14, the first ballroom dance we shared at 16, our graduation photo at 18. How could I not understand her feelings? But I couldn't respond to such burning affection right now. Someone who had just crawled out of a swamp. Even sunlight could burn them. "This show is beautiful," I said softly. "You've grown up, Anna." Anna pressed her red lips together and didn't let go of my hand. She said, "George, how are you still the same as when we were kids? Is that all you know how to say when we meet? We're the same age, you know." She pouted slightly and said in a spoiled tone, "I'm not a child anymore." Anna was beautiful. From elementary school to university, she was always the campus queen. Many people liked her, but not a single one dared to confess, because I was always by her side. She was the untouchable Highland flower in everyone's eyes. Everyone believed we were supposed to be a pair. Chapter 24. Anna thought the same. From the very first moment she saw George, she liked him. Their families were neighbors. The first time she went to his house as a guest, his parents started arguing without regard for the situation. It was obviously painful, yet he pressed his thin lips together and said nothing. Those eyes that should have been filled with starlight instead carried an inescapable sadness. Anna's heart clenched. From that moment on, she decided she would protect George properly. Her world came to contain only George. They did many things together. Those memories, like scattered starlight, replayed endlessly in her mind. She planned to confess to him after graduating from high school. She wanted to tell him that she had loved him for many years. But then disaster struck her family. Her parents passed away one after the other, and her family's company fell into turmoil. She had no choice but to inherit the business ahead of time. At that time, Anna couldn't tell George. She wanted to stay by his side for a lifetime, but the bouquet filled with her love was never given to him. She thought, once she settled everything, she would go find him immediately and tell him everything. Anna loved only George in this lifetime, but what she received instead was the news of George's marriage. She asked George whether he could choose not to marry. George, just like before, only treated her as a friend. Smiling, he said he would give her a big red envelope. Anna's heart hurt as if it were being cut by knives. From then on, she withdrew from George's world. As long as he was happy, that was enough for her. But George wasn't happy. Anna learned everything from the internet. Every detail made her heart ache to the point of suffocation. The men she had thought about constantly, the one she hadn't been able to forget for 20 full years, his wife, had hurt him like this. At that thought, a layer of frost formed in Anna's eyes. She would not allow anyone to hurt George. No one. Chapter 25. I sat on the top floor while Anna skillfully brewed coffee for me. 8/10 hot, just how I always drank it. In the past, Anna had always taken care of everything for me, down to the smallest detail. She used to follow behind me like a little tail, but now, she stood shoulder to shoulder with me. There was a different kind of emotion stirring in my heart. George, Anna said softly. Tomorrow I want to walk around Country Y. It's my first time here. Can you accompany me? Anna wasn't in a hurry. She knew the man in front of her still hadn't smoothed out the scars in his heart. She had time. She could wait. I saw a trending topic on my phone, news that Willow was suspected of leaving the country. She was sitting on a long-distance bus. After not resting properly for a long time, she leaned against the window, her eyes filled with anxiety. That bus was the only route here that didn't require a passport. I knew Willow was here too, but even so, I no longer wanted to see her, not even if there was a 1 in 10 chance. I put down my phone and said, since we haven't seen each other in so long, why don't we go back to our hometown together and take a look? Anna replied. Why not leave today? She was excited inside, but she also noticed the unease on my face. Her gaze had been on me since childhood. How could she not know what I was thinking? She understood every look in my eyes, while I stepped away to use the restroom. Anna asked her assistant to investigate. Very quickly, the assistant found everything. The assistant said, Willow, Mr. Wang's former wife, appears to have arrived in Country Y. At those words, a chill surfaced in Anna's eyes. She would never allow anyone to hurt George. No one was allowed. Anna said calmly. Find out where she is right now. I want to meet her. Chapter 26. Willow wandered onto the street in a daze, constantly trying to reassure herself. No, that was just a staff member. Just an etiquette hostess standing beside George. George wouldn't fall in love with someone else. Willow decided to go back to the hotel to wait for George. She would wait for him no matter what, apologize to him, tell him everything. She only hoped that he could tell her one thing, that he still loved her. As long as she still had his love, she could hold on to it and live through the loneliness of the rest of her life. But if she lost George's love, she would go mad. When she arrived at the hotel entrance, she didn't dare go upstairs. There were only a few thousand left on her card. The cheapest room in this hotel cost $5,000 a night. Back then, when George took her to Stargaze, they stayed in the presidential suite. One night cost over $100,000. Because she liked it, he had rented it for an entire year. She liked eating Arctic bluefin tuna, the most tender belly cut. She liked lychees every day. The fruit platter on the table held a Zhengqing guava lychee worth $550,000 per piece. George, who loved her like that, how could he possibly bear to let her have nowhere to stay? But from morning until night, she waited. She stared intently at every passerby, yet every single person who walked by was not her George. The north wind blew past, making her figure look even more lonely and fragile. The front desk looked at her with pity and said, Stop waiting. The person you're waiting for has already checked out. Willow's eyes trembled. She couldn't believe it. She refused to believe it. George had already checked out. She had been longing so desperately to see him. Not even one meeting. Not even once. She asked, her voice shaking. Then, do you know where he went? Tears streamed down her face as she said, I really need to find him. If I can't find him, I'll die. Seeing her cry so painfully, the front desk attendant felt flustered. Miss, I know where the person you're looking for is. A woman appeared behind her. Willow turned around in shock, wiped her tears, and asked, Can you take me to see George? The woman nodded. A spark of hope rose again in Willow's heart. She couldn't stay here much longer. In 2 days, it would be her second trial. If George was willing to see her, she still had a chance. Nervous, she tidied herself up in front of the mirror, trying her best to look presentable. She followed the woman into a car. When Willow saw the Rolls-Royce, the corners of her lips lifted slightly, her eyes lighting up. It was George's car. George couldn't bear to let her freeze here. He was no longer angry, thinking that Willow couldn't wait to see him. Like a bird finally about to be redeemed, led by the woman, she arrived at a private room. The moment she stepped inside, she eagerly looked in and cried out cheerfully, George, I finally. But before she could finish her sentence, she saw that there was only a woman inside. Her heart clenched instantly. It was the woman she had seen during the day, the one holding onto George's arm. Willow's smile vanished. She stared at the woman, her gaze fixed and sharp. You're the one who asked me out. Where is George? Anna looked at the pale, lifeless woman before her. Dry hair, no vitality left. There was none of the radiance she once had when she married George. George had placed her at the very center of his heart, yet she had betrayed him so easily. The thought made Anna's chest ache. She said calmly, George won't come to see you. Anna continued coldly, have you still not accepted reality? George went to Country F because he didn't want to see you today. He appeared only because I invited him. He knew you were here, so he chose to leave. At this point, do you still not understand? He doesn't love you anymore. Stop bringing trouble into his life. Chapter 27. Anna's words were like countless fine needles, piercing into Willow's heart one by one. The pain was so intense she could barely breathe. Willow's eyes were bloodshot as she shouted, Who do you think you are, meddling in my relationship with George? Right now, I won't believe anyone except George. You're just jealous of me, that's why you don't want me to see him. Looking at this hysterical woman, Anna felt nothing but coldness. Cheating only has 0 times, or countless times. She kept saying she loved George, but what she was truly clinging to was nothing more than obsession. And the lavish life of being a wealthy wife she couldn't let go of. Jealous of you? Anna felt as if she had just heard a joke. She said calmly, Jealous of your affair blowing up all over the internet? Or jealous of you, already disgusted by George, still shamelessly throwing yourself at him? You don't deserve George's love, Anna added indifferently. Before your verdict comes down, don't disturb George online again. Otherwise, I won't let it go. And private border crossing before sentencing can add another 10 years. Willow's entire body trembled. She would not allow anyone to question the love between her and George. She cried out, I don't allow anyone to doubt George's love for me. No matter who you are, I will find George. He's just angry with me. He won't stop loving me. A cheap woman like you doesn't deserve to mention George. Anna looked at her and knew this woman wouldn't give up until she hit rock bottom. She picked up her phone and gave her assistant a look. The secretary immediately restrained Willow. Anna said coldly, Shut up and listen. Seeing the secretary's sharp gaze, Willow stopped struggling. She could only stare ahead, motionless. When Anna opened George's contact page, her brows softened, her expression gentle. She dialed George's number. George, Anna. Hearing George's voice, Willow's eyes shook violently. Instinctively, she tried to lunge forward to grab the phone, but the secretary held her down firmly, leaving her unable to resist. Her mouth was covered. Tears streamed down her face. It had been so long since she had heard George's voice. She listened carefully. Even one sentence would be enough. Just hearing his voice made her heart feel as if it were about to stop. Anna said softly, George, the lawyer hasn't been able to reach you. Tomorrow is Willow's court hearing. Do you want to see her once? On the other end of the line, George answered without the slightest hesitation. No. From the moment I prepared to sue her, I stopped loving her. Everything she's doing now is just for her obsession. From now on, I don't want to hear any more news about her. Anna, I know you care about me, but don't mention her again in the future. After gently saying goodbye and hanging up, Anna looked at Willow coldly and said, Did you get the answer you wanted? George already gave you the greatest dignity. It's you who didn't know your place. Don't appear in his world again. The secretary released Willow, watching indifferently as she collapsed onto the floor. She sat there, completely limp. George's words, every sentence, every word, were like the final gallows of death. Tightening around her last breath, a suffocating pain swept over her. Tears fell, one by one, splashing onto the ground. She looked around helplessly at this foreign land. He said he didn't love her anymore. George no longer loved Willow. Chapter 28. Willow boarded the vehicle back to her home country in a daze. Every single word George had said was like a knife, cutting deeply into her heart, pain seeping into her bones. Tomorrow would be her second trial. If the opposing lawyers found out she had crossed the border illegally, her sentence would be increased by another 10 years. At the thought of the rest of her life, a life in which she would never again receive George's love, a massive sense of terror wrapped tightly around Willow. Tears fell, one by one. No. She would absolutely not allow that to happen. If it weren't for Makoto, George would never have been angry with her. As if making up her mind, Willow decided she had to see George, no matter what method it took. She needed to tell George that she loved him, that she would even give her life for him. Willow returned to the only villa she had left. Makoto was locked up, chained all over his body, not even wearing a single piece of clothing. She locked him in the bathroom like a dog. She only threw in a few pieces of bread. Makoto, bound and imprisoned, was already half out of his mind, his eyes hollow. In just a few days, he had lost 10 pounds. When Willow opened the door, she coldly looked at him curled up in the corner of the bathroom. "Don't hit me, don't hit me," he muttered incoherently. When he finally recognized Willow, he went completely mad, crawling toward her and kowtowing repeatedly. "Let me out, please. I shouldn't have seduced you. I shouldn't have been greedy for your money. I shouldn't have provoked George. I was wrong. As long as you let me out, I'll do anything. I'm begging you. I'm really begging you." Makoto clutched Willow's leg tightly. Driven by his instinct to survive, he slammed his head against the floor until it bled. He had truly been wrong. Willow was a madwoman. Completely, utterly insane. Willow looked down at him, her eyes filled with disgust. She grabbed Makoto by the hair and said coldly, "You want to get out?" Makoto nodded frantically through tears. He didn't dare anymore. He just wanted to live. She said, "Fine, I'll let you out. As long as George comes back, I can spare your life." Willow's voice sounded like a ghost crawling out of hell. Makoto felt his scalp go numb, his eyes filled with terror. "Madwoman, you're a madwoman." But Willow didn't give him any chance to resist. She grabbed a heavy object nearby and smashed it down onto his head. After a burst of intense pain, Makoto passed out immediately, seeing the blood pooling on the ground. Willow didn't care at all, as if whether Makoto lived or died no longer mattered. All she wanted now was to see George. At the thought of seeing George again, Willow couldn't help feeling excited. She hurriedly fixed her makeup and reapplied her lipstick. She dragged Makoto out onto the terrace and turned on a live stream. Her live stream instantly shot to the top of the charts. Everyone was following her case, wanting to see what she was planning to do now. Willow smiled strangely. She pulled away the blanket covering Makoto. There lay Makoto, bound and unconscious on the ground, blood still flowing from his head. She said, "George, can you see this? The person who destroyed our relationship has already been punished. George, I was wrong. Can you come back?" Seeing Willow's abnormal state, viewers in the live stream felt she had completely lost her mind. Even though they hated Makoto, they couldn't just watch someone actually die. People started calling the police en masse. The police quickly took notice of the situation and immediately dispatched officers. But Willow seemed to know they were coming. She calmly faced the police, pulled out a sharp knife, and pressed it against her own throat. She said, "If you want to save these 2 lives, bring George to me. Otherwise, what you'll get are 2 corpses." Willow's mental state was extremely unstable, so they had no choice but to contact George, hoping that George could calm her down. Chapter 29. When I received the call from the police, Anna and I had already returned to the country. We were on our way to the city where we had grown up together. After listening to the police's request, a trace of surprise flickered in my eyes, but it quickly settled back into calm. I calmly told Anna about Willow's current state, yet my eyes were filled with sorrow. What she felt for me was not love, it was obsession. From the moment she cheated, I had already let go of my love for her. It was she who had trapped herself in the past, refusing to face reality, and now, she was using her life to threaten my appearance, telling me that she was willing to die for me, all because she loved me. How ironic. I agreed to the police's request, but only to speaking with her over the phone. I told the police that Willow would agree. After understanding this, the police handed the phone to Willow. At the same time, others quietly moved in, surrounding her, waiting for the moment she let her guard down so they could restrain her. With trembling hands, Willow took the phone and choked out, "George." Hearing her voice, my heart felt nothing at all. I said calmly, "Willow, stop." Even though it was just one sentence urging her to stop, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and break down in tears. Too long. It had been far too long. She had finally heard George's voice again. She said, "George, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please forgive me. Let's start over. I'll do anything you ask, as long as you forgive me. I've already punished Makoto." But before she could finish, I interrupted her. I asked, "Do you really think we can go back to the past? Willow's heart felt as if it had fallen straight from the clouds into hell. Dazed, she tried desperately to continue speaking to me, but the police had already rushed forward and pressed her firmly to the ground. She seemed unable to feel it at all, her hand desperately reaching toward the phone. George. No, this couldn't be. But then, the sedative was injected. She fell into unconsciousness. In the very last second, tears of despair finally fell. She knew George would never love her again. After learning that Willow had been subdued, I felt as if all my strength had been drained. I leaned back against the seat, that feeling, like a venomous snake that had once coiled around me. A love I had already put down, had finally brought me true release. Anna looked at me with heartache. This man's sincerity had been trampled on. Not even a shred of dignity was left. How could she not feel pain for someone like George? Soon, we arrived at the old residence from before. The roses here were in full, passionate bloom, so vivid they seemed capable of melting ice and snow. I remember no one has lived here for a long time. I looked at the roses in surprise. Not only had they not withered, even the entire courtyard was brimming with life and vitality. Chapter 30. Anna led me to the swing set we used to play on and gestured for me to sit. She told me that after returning from abroad, she would occasionally stay in this small courtyard. There were people hired to clean and maintain it regularly. You used to like roses the most, she said softly. Do you remember? When we were in kindergarten and drawing pictures, you filled the whole page with roses. You said your grandmother liked roses the most, so you liked them too. I searched my memories carefully and suddenly recalled, when we were little, she once fell off a ladder just to pick roses for me. She didn't even wipe the blood from her nose, only to hand me a bouquet of the most beautifully blooming roses. Moved, I said quietly. You still remember? Anna looked into my eyes, her gaze full of affection. Everything about you, I remember it all. On countless nights after leaving, she had taken those memories out one by one. No one knew how many times she replayed them in the depths of the night. Anna rested her hand gently on my arm and said, George, I know you need time. I'm not in a hurry. I just want you to know that wherever you are, I'll always be behind you, staying with you. I looked at Anna. It felt as if I could hear the sound of glaciers melting. Anna accompanied me again, walking the streets we used to run through when we were 5, sneaking into the amusement park we loved at 10, drinking the coffee we first tried at 14, returning to the bar where we danced at 18, standing beneath fireworks that filled the sky. Anna looked at me with love rippling in her eyes. At last, she handed me the love letter she should have given me at 18. She said, George, I've liked you for a very long time. I liked you the first time I saw you at 5. I liked you in the past. I like you now, and I'll like you in the future too. That night, I think I heard the most beautiful love confession in the world. Chapter 31. After Willow regained consciousness, she was transferred to the highest court for illegal detention, intentional injury, and embezzlement of public funds, multiple crimes combined. She was sentenced to life imprisonment. At the moment the verdict was announced, Willow's mind went completely blank. Not until her elderly, white-haired parents knelt before the judge, begging again and again, crying in utter despair, did she finally collapse in regret, tears of remorse streaming down her face. She once had parents who loved her, a perfect family, and George's most sincere love, but she didn't know how to cherish any of it. She sank into illusions she couldn't escape from, believing everything she did was flawless. When the truth finally came to light, she still didn't repent. Instead, she clung to her obsession and delusions. In the end, she lost the person she loved most, and the parents who loved her most. In court, she sobbed uncontrollably, begging for a chance to repent and atone. But everything was already too late. What awaited her was only a lifetime of endless nights behind bars, and a world forever without George. After receiving medical treatment, Makoto began to show some improvement, but the prolonged imprisonment and heavy blows left him permanently paralyzed from the neck down. Aside from eating and drinking, he had lost even the most basic ability to take care of himself. At first, he stayed at his sister's home, but the daily beatings from his brother-in-law and the cold disdain in his sister's eyes became unbearable. Finally, one day, using only his mouth, he tied a rope around himself and ended his life. When people heard the news, there was a moment of sighing and reflection. He once had a promising future, but he tried to reach the sky in a single step. In the end, all he gained was the bitter fruit of his own actions. Chapter 32. After receiving the verdict, I felt little emotion in my heart. All the disputes and entanglements of City A no longer had anything to do with me. Everything in the past felt like a dream, carried away by the wind. Looking at the petite, lovely person in my arms, the corner of my lips curved into a faint smile, and I instinctively pulled her closer. When Anna woke up and saw me beside her, it felt unreal, as if she were still dreaming. She snuggled into my arms coquettishly, holding me tightly, as if afraid that I might leave. I couldn't help but tap her forehead lightly. Stop holding on so tight. I'm not going anywhere. Anna ignored me completely. Like a little kitten, She clung to me and said softly, I waited for you for a full 20 years. I'm not letting go. You're the greatest gift heaven ever gave me. I laughed softly, and warmth once again filled my eyes. Anna knew that City A held too many painful memories, so we decided together to settle abroad. When I returned to City A, I was busy transferring assets and shares. Anna went to the prison to see Willow one last time. Perhaps she didn't really want to go, but that day, when she returned, Willow's mother had knelt in front of the villa, begging only for a letter of forgiveness from me, hoping it could reduce Willow's sentence. Anna didn't want to put me in a difficult position. She only told Willow's mother that she could go see Willow on my behalf, to let her reform properly inside, and perhaps have her life sentence commuted to a fixed term, so that the rest of her life might at least have some consolation. When Anna saw Willow, there was not a trace left of her former elegance. She had grown so thin she was nothing but skin and bones. Seeing Anna, Willow became agitated and said, Did you come to laugh at me? Anna's eyes held only pity. She said calmly, You brought all of this upon yourself. You're not even worth me laughing at. Anna didn't want to see her remain so stubbornly obsessed. She simply placed the scarf she was holding in front of Willow. This was knitted stitch by your mother. She asked me to bring it to you. She knelt outside the villa for a long time, just for you, her only daughter. Reflect properly while you're in prison. How you live the rest of your life is your own choice. Willow stared at the scarf, woven with painstaking care, and finally broke down in tears of anguish. Anna didn't linger. She drove back to the villa, where I had already finished handling everything. When she saw the gentle look in my eyes, it felt just like the first time she had seen me when we were 5. She threw herself into my arms. Anna bought a villa with the best view and gave it to me. From there, you could see the sea at sunrise, and the city lights at night. She would accompany me to the Arctic glaciers, and also to the vast grasslands of the Great Desert. We watched the golden sunlight-crowned snowy peaks, and traveled together to the mysterious Hozil. Crossing uninhabited lands meant only for the two of us. Anna accompanied me to every place, to see every landscape. 3 years later, at the fashion show where we first reunited, the venue was filled with crystal roses, symbolizing a love that would never wither. I knelt on one knee, took out a ring, and reverently placed it on Anna's hand. I asked, Anna, will you be my wife? Anna threw herself into my arms in excitement, tears of joy streaming down her face as she cried, I'm willing. We kissed beneath the setting sun. From then on, 3 meals a day and the turning of the 4 seasons, just the two of us, together from dawn to dusk, day after day, night after night.